What's up everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Guitar channel, where science meets soul. In this video, I'll be breaking down that famous riff from Roundabout by Yes. I'll be covering the difficulty, the music theory, then I've broken the intro into 4 different parts, and at the end I have 3 helpful tips. I give the overall difficulty of this song a 4.6 out of 10. If you take a look at the left hand, we have some harmonics going on that are a little bit harder to do in general. And we'll have some hammer-ons that are pretty fast. In the last bit of the intro, the fingerstyle portion has like a walking bass line down with a moving melody on top, so it's pretty tough. So for this reason, I give the left hand a 6 out of 10. The rhythm of this song is very intuitive. It's more free-flowing. It's not very strict in the rhythm, so you can play this intro and kind of just go about it and just take your time and not worry about the rhythm so much. The rhythm that pops up in the end is a little bit tricky, but it's metronomic almost. It's 8th notes going on the whole time. So for this reason, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. The right hand's pretty straightforward in this too. There's just a lot of single notes that happen. And I just use one finger for the most of it until you get to the end, which has the fingerstyle going on. So you will have to use your thumb on some bass strings and then your index and middle on the top strings. So that's a little bit harder to do, so for this reason I give it a 5 out of 10. To determine the difficulty of each song, I add up the left hand rhythm and right hand difficulties and round out that average. Let's get started. The first part sounds like this. So let's break that down. It's going to start with the harmonic on the 12th fret. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay your finger on the first, second, and third string here on fret 12 right over the fret. So if you can see this, yeah, I'm not even touching this fret. So if I were to press down, it would look like that. But if I'm not even touching them, yeah, it's just barely resting on top. Don't press. Just like that. That's how you get a harmonic, and it's right over the silver bar. So you don't want to be in the middle of the fret. You want to be right over the silver bar, and that gets you the best sound. So you play those, and then from here, you're going to play the 7th fret of the first string with your 3rd finger and have your first finger resting on the 5th fret. So you'll have that first note because you're going to do a triplet from 5, 7 to 5 with fingers 1, 3, back to 1. So you pluck 5th fret, hit 7, pull off back to 5. And then you're going to use your pinky play fret 8 of the 2nd string, and that's going to end up on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and then back to the 5th fret 1st string, like this. So the only real rhythm you need to pay attention to is that these triplets are a little faster, right? And then these you can kind of take your time with and just play it by ear. The second part starts with the harmonic on the 12th fret of the 6th string, and then we go back to our 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string harmonics on fret 12. So that starts off the sequence of the same little intro, but instead of adding the first finger on the 5th fret, we're going to skip that and you're going to leave it be. And we're going to do a series of hammer-ons on the 4th and 3rd string. So the 3rd string, 4th fret with your first finger, and you're going to hammer on from 1 to the 2nd finger on the 5th fret to your pinky on the 7th fret. So that's 4, 5, 7, and that's fingers 1, 2, 4. And it's pretty fast, like this. And then you're going to do the same thing on the 4th string, so frets 4, 5, and 7, fingers 1, 2, and 4, and that all has a goal of getting to the C on the 5th string, 3rd fret, like this. A little slower when you put that together. It's like this. Landing on that low 5th string. When you do it really slow, it sounds like this. So we have our triplet. And we land on 7 of the 2nd string. And you pause there. Then you're going to do our hammer-ons on the 3rd string. Then the 4th string. And then the fret 3 of the 5th string. Hammer-ons. 3rd fret. The 3rd part is exactly the same as the first one, except you add in this harmonic at the beginning on the 12th fret of the 6th string. Continue on as normal. Everything's the same. And you actually are going to play the 5th fret of the 1st string and then back to the 7th fret of the 2nd string. So you just add that additional note at the end and that completes that part like this. So all the same here. That was part 1, but now we add in this note at the end. 4th part's the hardest one. It has a fingerstyle section, so let's break it down. You're going to start with your 2 finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, and you're going to play the 4th string simultaneously. And then you're going to use your pinky to play fret 3 on the 1st string, and then you're going to play it again, and this time you'll do a pull off back to fret 2 and then pull off to 0, and you're going to land on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string like this. Again, a little slower. 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. And now you're going to play the 3rd fret of the 5th string with your 2 finger and play the 1st string open, and then you're going to play the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then open 2nd string, and then the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with your pinky, and then open 2nd string. So let's break that measure down. So that would be like this. So a lot slower. That's the 1st string open, 3rd fret, 1st fret, open, 3rd fret, 0. So this has that bass line on the bottom, which is on the 0, and then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Continuing on, the next measure is, then we have our A minor shape, and this is our 1st finger on the 2nd string, and then the 5th string open. And then you're going to use your 2 finger to play the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And then we're going to go to a G chord shape with just your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Play it with the 2nd string open, then the 3rd string. And then from here, we're going to play 2 and 2. So the 2nd fret of the 6th string and then 2 on the 3rd string at the same time. And that leads right into an E minor. So let's break that measure down really slow. A minor, G, F sharp and A, and then E minor. So when you put all that fingerstyle together very slow, it sounds like this. Pull off to 3, walk, chords, E minor. Even slower, it sounds like this. The first tip I have is to practice your hammer-ons and pull-offs. So these are all over this with these. So to get better at those, you should isolate them and practice them on their own a bunch, and then when you come back to the song, they'll be a lot better. So I've added in some exercises for you to try out that are specific to this song. So we have a lot of 1, 2, 4s. So you should do that on every string. And then on every fret. And can go slow at first. I know I'm flying here. And then start to speed them up. And then when you get back to the song, it should be a lot better. The second tip I have is to practice your fingerstyle patterns. And what I recommend is checking out these 120 right hand studies by Mauro Giuliani. They were written like 200 years ago or something like that. And they are fantastic for developing right hand fingerstyle. So I've attached a PDF for those right here in the description down below. The third tip I have is to practice the right hand part of this song without the left hand. And I'm including some open string exercises that you can do. They're exactly this fingerstyle portion. I've written out the exact open strings that you can do, which would sound like this. It sounds really wonky on its own. It sounds bizarre, but that's what's going on without the left hand. If you can get better at that, then when you go add in the left hand, which would sound like this now, it'll help put it together. The key of this song is an E minor, and it's very highlighted by those first three notes, and often with that sixth string as well, because those are a G, B, and E, which is an inversion of an E chord with a G in the bass, so that's the first inversion, which highlights an E minor chord. So this is an E minor. It's further highlighted by these notes because these notes are all in the key of E minor. We have B, A, G, F sharp, back to A, and has a half cadence, which means it's not resolved. It's just hanging out here, and it feels like it wants to go back home. So that's why this kind of has that cool feeling of, oh, okay, this is left up in the air for a moment. Like, where is this going? It goes right back to home. So E minor, and it does another one. So it lands on an F sharp. So it's kind of up in the air what's happening here. And then it lands kind of like a little tag at the end. So in the music theory world, this little tag lands on a C, which again, it's kind of like a half cadence. It's kind of up in the air of where are we going? And it goes right back to home. E minor. Does our little tag. Half cadence, but it's kind of extended. And these notes, F sharp and A, are highlighting like a D chord shape, which is exactly where this fingerstyle pattern goes. So the fingerstyle pattern has a lot more music theory going on in it. So in this fingerstyle section, we have a melodic line on top. And that is also happening at the same time with a bass line. So it's doing a bass line as well. So it's going down, and let's look at these notes. So E, D, C, B, D, B, C, A, B, G, A, G. So that all is right in alignment with an E minor descending scale. And it's nice too, because if you look at the bass line, we have a D, and then a C, and then a B, and then an A, and then a G, and then an F sharp, and then E. So that is a direct descending E minor scale, and which is pretty cool because they're kind of in unison with each other in a way. This absolutely highlights the E minor key. And if we go through and do a chord analysis of each one in this descending pattern, that's a D chord. Now, even though we're not strumming a full D chord, the thing that's pretty cool about music theory is we call this omitted harmony, where we're just playing certain notes at the right time and it fills up enough space for us to identify that, okay, that is a D chord. Even though it's not all being played at once, it is a D chord, it's just implied. So this is a D chord. And now here we have, which would be interpreted as a C chord. The next part of that measure, we have a B in the bass and a D on the second string and then a B. So this could be interpreted as an E minor 7 or a G, depending on how you want to interpret it. I would call this a G. And then it goes to an A minor shape, to a G shape, to a D chord with an F sharp in the bass, or you could interpret it as a B7, because again, this is implied harmony. It doesn't fill everything out with this. It's only this, so this could be a D chord with that F sharp in the bass because it has those notes in it, or it could be a B7 with an F sharp in the bass. I like to think of this as a D chord with an F sharp in the bass, but what do I know? And then it goes directly into an E minor. I'll apply the chords here so we can kind of see how this works out. So that's a D chord, C,